Hello again. My name is Emma and welcome to Faith Night Friday. Wow, these weeks are going by so fast. It's incredible. But I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody is taking the time out to kind of like just merge yourself or, throw yourself into the Word a little bit. If you can't do it every day, don't worry about it. I mean, if you can get it in like maybe 2 times a week or 1 time out of the week, even if it's just reading a few scriptures, or if you're like a reader, you can always read a chapter or whatever you want, maybe Psalms, Proverbs, those kind of books before you get into the nitty-gritty of all the other stories that are out there, especially when it comes to the Old Testament, because the Old Testament is really an eye-opener when it comes to how things evolved into how we live now. But so it's very, very interesting of what happened back in those days. And we get a lot of movies that have been made from those eras. But even when we get into the New Testament, we also get new movies from that era as well. So it's very, very eye-opening of the glimpses that we get to experience or see because of these stories. And of course, we always have the opportunity to have our own opinions. Thank God for that. And we try to share our opinions and don't argue about them if it doesn't make any sense to argue, because at the end we'll all know the truth. So it's not even worth debating who's right, who's wrong, and things like that. But we are in chapter 18, 1 Samuel. So I'm just going to jump in and start reading that. And we were first in 1 Samuel. David had kind of like a bond when Jesse sent his son David to Saul, and Saul kind of like liked him even more because he killed Goliath, the giant. Yeah, David and Goliath. Yeah, right. So he killed Goliath. So he all of a sudden Saul became very, very fond of him, but now things get switched around. So we're gonna jump into Saul, 1 Samuel, 18th chapter. Saul and David finished their conversation. After that, Saul's son Jonathan was deeply attracted to David and came to love him as much as he loved himself. Almost like a brotherly kind of like love, I should have brought a pencil with me. Anyway, do I have one behind me? No, I don't. Okay. Saul kept David with him from that day on, and did not let him go back home, which probably really sucked. I mean, I want to be with my family, but he kind of stole him, I don't know. Anyway, Jonathan swore eternal friendship with David because of his deep affection for him. He took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, together with his armor and also his sword, bow, and belt. David was successful in all his missions, on which Saul sent him. And so Saul made him an officer in his army. This pleased all of Saul's officers and men. Saul becomes jealous of David. As David was returning after killing Goliath, and as the soldiers were coming home, women from every town in Israel came out to meet King Saul. They were singing joyful songs, dancing, playing tambourines and lyres in their celebration. The women sang, Saul has killed thousands, but David tens of thousands. Saul did not like this, and he became very angry. He said, for David, they claim tens of thousands, but only thousands for me. They will make him king next. And so he was jealous and suspicious of David from that day on. And again, how I felt is that when he wanted to, because Saul at one point was having bad dreams and stuff like that, so he wanted David to play the harp so he could make him feel better, but unknowingly that he had the presence of God, the presence of the Spirit with David, and I think that's why he was able to soothe Saul. The next day, an evil spirit from God suddenly took control of Saul, and he raved in the house like a madman. David was playing the harp as he did every day, and Saul was holding a spear. I'll pin him to the wall, Saul said to himself, and he threw the spear at him twice, but David dodged each time. Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with David, but had abandoned him. So you see, God was with David. And God, because of everything that Saul did, God didn't want anything to do with him. So Saul sent him away and put him in command of 1,000 men. David led his men into battle and was successful in all he did because the Lord was with him. Saul noticed David's success and became even more afraid of him. But everyone in Israel and Judah loved David because he was such a successful leader. David married Saul's daughter. Then Saul said to David, here is my older daughter, Merab. I will give her to you as your wife on condition that you serve me as a brave and loyal soldier and fight the Lord's battle. Saul was thinking that in this way the Philistines would kill David. He would not have to do it himself. Excuse me. David answered, who am I? And what is my family that I should become the king's son-in-law? But when the time came for Merab to be given to David, she was given instead to a man named Adriel from Mehulah. Saul's daughter, Michal, however, fell in love with David. And when Saul heard this, he was pleased. He said to himself, I'll give Michal to David. I will use her to trap him, and he will be killed by the Philistines. So for the second time, Saul said to David, you will become my son-in-law. He ordered his officials to speak privately with David and tell him, the king is pleased with you, and his officials like you. Now is a good time for you to marry his daughter. So he told this to David, and he answered, it's a great honor to become the king's son-in-law, too great for someone poor and insignificant like me. The officials told Saul what David had said, and Saul ordered them to tell David, all the king wants from you as a payment for the bride and are the foreskins of 100 dead Philistines, as revenge on his enemies. This was how Saul planned to have David killed by the Philistines. Saul's officials reported to David what Saul had said, and David was delighted with the thought of becoming the king's son-in-law. Before the day set for the wedding, David and his men went and killed 200 Philistines. He took their foreskins to the king and counted them all out to him, so that he might become his son-in-law. So Saul had to give his daughter Michal in marriage to David. Saul realized clearly that the Lord was with David, also that his daughter Michal loved him, so he became even more afraid of David and was his enemy as long as he lived. The Philistine armies would come and fight, but in every battle David was more successful than any of Saul's officers. As a result, David became very famous. Wow. So, but did he marry Michal after all? See, I don't know about that, if they actually wed. So I'm going to have to keep reading to find out whether he finally gave Michal the hand of Michal in marriage to David. So we'll find out. But yeah, I don't know. To me, everything. Let me just drink a little bit of this tea because my throat is like really dry. I don't know. Every time I think about, when I was thinking about this, and I said, it reminds me of the workforce, and sometimes I feel like your coworkers or whoever you're working with is always that great to throw you under the bus, and mostly because they don't like you, you're better than them, and they can see that, or the boss is favoring you like God favored David, and the person whoever is in charge gets upset and starts thinking of ways to throw somebody under the bus or even to get them fired, So that's what I think about when I think about this chapter. It's like, we go through that now. we don't always want to, go out and kill somebody, but we just don't want them, in the company. So you'll do everything you can to be underhanded, to find a way to discredit this person, even though you know that person is better than you. But you'll do everything you can to show the boss that, we don't need him or her in this company. But that that is sad, in today's life, because we shouldn't be acting that way at all. We should always be willing to help one another. But to be successful, people have at times, stepped over heads, and I forgot what they call it, and just to be successful themselves. So they would throw you under the bus, or whatever it takes for them to get ahead. So it's just, I just feel like we all go through that now. But I'm hoping you're not one of those kind of people. I'm hoping that if you see somebody who is doing a better job than you, or you feel like they know more than you, and they can, they might be even able to help you. You shouldn't get jealous. You shouldn't try to get that person in trouble or fired just because you feel like, the boss is gonna like her or him better than me now because she just came out with a better plan, or she had this awesome advice, and she's gonna become like the number one seller, or the number one employee, and I've been here for so many years, and I just hope you're not that kind of person. So think about it. Think about it before you hurt somebody and try to destroy or make them even feel ill about what they're trying to do, because they're just trying to make a living just like you. Okay, they are. If bonuses come their way, well, you should praise them. You should be happy for them and not make them feel bad because of, what they're going through. You should be happy for them. Okay, so let's see what the Bible commentary, the reference has to say. So we are on 18. So this one says, As you read the history of Saul, you often find him with a spear in his hand. It was his symbol of authority and power. And he did not want anybody to forget that he was in charge. David had a harp in his hand, or a shepherd's crook or sling, or a sword. Whatever task God had for him to do, David was available to do it, and God received the glory. When you are jealous over your authority and position, as Saul was, you become envious of others and sensitive to what people are saying about you. Saul became almost paranoid about David. First, he was envious of David, then suspicious and afraid, then angry, and finally so hateful that he wanted to kill him. In that difficult situation, David acted with wisdom from God and trusted God to help him. David never considered Saul as an enemy, which kept David in the peace of God's blessing. David remained a humble servant in spite of his great victories, for he knew that God anointing was upon him. God used those difficult experiences of conflict to help make David a great man of faith. So there you go. Even if you do go through something like that, and just keep doing what you're doing, and just every time something good happens, or you got patted on the back, or you got a raise for this, just give God the glory, Just say, okay, well, I'm in this position because not only did I do what I had to do, for the company or whatever, but God helped me. It was because of God that I'm here. It was because of God that I got this position. It was because of God that I got that raise. It was because of God that he gave me these ideas, It was because of God. So always give God the glory for whatever is happening. Somebody ends up trying to be like that. Even if you do end up getting fired or whatever, don't worry. God has plans for you. Will always have plans for you to end up in another better place with a better position, and he'll take care of you. So don't always feel like threatened by anybody, because God always has your back. Okay, guys, so I think that is going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed my reading. I'm trying to, give a little bit of I forgot what I called it last week. A monologue, I don't know. Just try to make it a little bit more. I'll try to practice more so that you can feel that the words are jumping out at you and they feel more real. So I'll try to practice some more on that for next week. But just stay in faith and just believe that good things are always going to come your way, as long as you stay in the Word, and you will always be successful. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. And like a fish in the sea, so glad you caught me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you next week on Faith Night Friday. Bye bye.